Hey friends, Peggy Hall here with positive encouragement for vibrant living. I was thinking about that tagline, and we all know what positive encouragement means, but to live a vibrant life. What I mean by that is to incorporate your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your intellectual, your cultural, your social, all of those aspects that make up your life, and to infuse them with a higher level of energy and enthusiasm. And one area where I see a lot of people stuck is, well, this is what I'm going to be talking about today. I've titled the video, The Most Important Choice You Can Make. And let me know in a comment what you think that choice is. And then we're going to talk about why people are prone to falling into this way of living. It can be comfortable, but it can also be awkward. And it definitely can hold you back from living that vibrant life. And then we'll look at 3 simple ways that you can literally stop yourself in your own tracks, make this choice and make it for the better. So what in the world am I talking about? Well, there were a couple of things. I have just a touch of laryngitis from filming so many videos. So I've got my water on hand. Hopefully I won't launch into a coughing spasm, but let me give you a scenario. So I've been thinking about this because there were a couple of episodes over the last week or so that occurred. And one of the most recent was with a lovely, healthy American who told me, unfortunately, she had a bit of a car crash. She's all right, but as she was recovering from this, she was at home and she saw a little piece of paper flutter by, and she had written down one of my encouraging phrases, which is, I will handle whatever comes up. And she picked up that piece of paper and she thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need. I will handle whatever comes up. I'll handle whatever happens at the doctor's office. I'll handle what I need to do with the car insurance. I'll handle whatever is required with my healing. I will handle it. I will handle whatever comes up. So the topic today is not necessarily that one, but it was her action of choosing what to think about any given scenario. Let me back up a little bit. It seems to me, and I've done videos on this in the past, that many of us, including myself, can get sidetracked. We feel hindered by problems and obstacles in our life. And it's not so much that the problem or the obstacle is insurmountable. It's more that we're indignant in terms of, how in the world could this happen? How could this be happening to me? Things were supposed to run smoothly. I can't believe this is going on. And all of those phrases that I just said can actually take the circumstances of whatever we're facing and magnify them so that whatever we're facing can now seem larger and more insurmountable. So the reason why many of us do this is because our brain tends to be wired to scan for danger so that we can stay alive. Obviously, our senses are also geared toward listening to see if we hear somebody banging on the door or trying to break into our house in the middle of the night. We can hear if there are ambulances going by. We can hear if something doesn't sound right. So we can hear things, and that puts us on alert. If the dog is barking, why is the dog barking? So our senses are geared toward helping us stay alert. What we see, what we scan for, what we actually read, what we talk about, what we look for. So many of us have a tendency, and it's understandable, because we have a tendency to scan for the bad, for the negative, and we have a tendency to respond in a negative way, as if those negative phrases are somehow going to deflect or diminish what it is we're going through. This is completely understandable. Many of us, all of us in the last few years, have been through a very traumatic experience. And when we have been through trauma, and many people have been through, you may even say, worse trauma in preceding years. Some people have gone through it in childhood, and that puts them on this high alert for, the expression, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Uh-oh, what's going to happen next? We even have phrases in our society such as, well, when things are going too well, that means something bad is right around the corner, or you can't trust when things are going well. And maybe we don't have those phrases, but there are outlooks that many people adopt, such as, well, I can't trust when things are going too well. Many people live that way as if good things are going to bring bad things. I'm using these as broad examples to illustrate that it's very common, it's understandable, it's very, I would say, normal, although not natural, for us to constantly be on alert and to only see the negative. And what happens is we end up, when we're in the negative, when we're in the problem, when we're faced with the hindrance, we often will agree with it, or we will add fuel to the fire with our own thoughts and phrases. Sadly, a lot of these are targeted at ourselves. So an example would be somebody picking something up and dropping it. And instead of saying, whoops, and picking it up, they'll say, I'm such a klutz. I'm always dropping things. Oh, I'm so uncoordinated. And they'll add on, think about this if this is you, they'll add on additional phrases as commentary to just the facts of what happened. It's always curious to me when I witness people saying that out loud. It's very common that these phrases go on either at an unspoken level, or maybe even a subconscious level where we're not aware of these phrases. You may drop the bottle and not say out loud, oh, I'm such a klutz. But inside you're thinking, I'm such a klutz. I hope nobody saw that. Oh my gosh, I'm such an embarrassment to myself. Or maybe you are even playing the phrases that you heard when you were growing up from your family, from your siblings, from your friends, from teachers. And it's very, very damaging for us as adults to keep those messages going. So I'm going to share with you in just a moment a very simple way of stopping that in the tracks. And this is why it's the most important choice you can make, which is, what are the words and phrases that you're saying to yourself? When I brought this to a loved one's attention, the person said, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I was thinking these things. I was doing it really without noticing. So the number one I've got ABC, the number one is awareness, being aware of what you are thinking and what you are saying to yourself. And that takes simply a moment of reflection. So I think of this little exercise. I use the acronym ABC. So A is awareness, aware. What am I thinking? What am I saying? Why am I saying it? The B is just let it be. You don't even have to really analyze it too much. Just notice it and be with that phrase. And notice, do I like that phrase? Do I like how I'm talking to myself? Does it make sense that I'm saying these things? Are these things even true? Am I a klutz, or did I simply drop a water bottle? Am I making a mountain out of a molehill? And if so, well, that might take a little deeper digging, but for the moment, we can just say, do I want to say that to myself? Do I want to feel this way in response to these phrases? And then that brings us to the C, or do I want to choose a different response? So with my loved one, there was a scenario where something happened completely out of the person's control, but they were faced with this situation of, what am I going to do now? Rather than take it as a personal insult, like somebody's out to get me, or I should have known better, or why did this happen to me? Simply taking it at face value, here's what happened. And then here's the most brilliant display of what I saw. The person saying, wait a minute, I get to choose how I respond to this. I get to change the way I think about this. I am going to change the way I think about this. And pacing back and forth, saying these things, I'm going to choose to look at this differently. How can I look at this differently? So it may take a little time for you to work through that, but it was so brilliant to witness this first experience of vivid awareness of, hey, I don't have to default to this self-criticism and self-loathing because of a problem or a hindrance that I'm faced with. So it's as simple as that. It actually is simple. You can choose how you think about a scenario. You can choose, in fact, you always choose, you don't even know it. You're always choosing how you respond to a situation. And you have the superpower really to change those thoughts those phrases, those words, and those responses. And it literally can be done in a split second. You don't need to go through years of therapy. You don't need to concentrate on this. You just need to notice what you are saying to yourself or even out loud in any scenario. So let's say that you, I don't know, you left your wallet at home and you're driving to the bank. You get to the bank, you realize I don't even have my wallet. And you show up, and at the teller, you say to the teller, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I left my wallet at home. There's an example. You added commentary, negative, harmful, self-critical commentary to a fact. And the fact is, I left my wallet at home. That's all you need to say. And you can, if you want to change the way you think about that and what you say to yourself, you can say, I'm glad this happened. Now I will be more aware next time. This is an opportunity for me to grow. Many people leave their wallets behind. I'll probably do it again. And I'm glad that I can go home and get my wallet. Maybe this was God's protection, and because I have to go home and get my wallet, I'm not going to be confronted with some other uncomfortable, awkward situation. So this is how I personally, and I don't do it perfectly, don't get me wrong. This is something that I am aware of on an ongoing basis. And you probably have been in a scenario where you are cringing when you hear a person out loud criticize themselves. Grown adults that have been on the earth for a long time, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. You know, I could see maybe a youngster is parroting what they hear the parent say, but we are adults. We do not have to rely on what anyone else thinks of us, says to us, or any of those patterns that were created in the past. I do recommend making a list of some helpful phrases that are sincere, that you can rely on and have literally in your pocket, just like a pocket phrase. You can write it down and literally have it in your pocket or in your purse or next to your computer or on your bathroom mirror. And when you are faced with things that in the past you would have criticized yourself for, you would have said, I'm such a klutz, I'm such an idiot, I can't believe it, here we go again, how could I have been so stupid? You are going to notice that. And you're not even going to criticize yourself for that, because that's more criticism. So don't criticize yourself by saying, oh my gosh, there I go again, criticizing myself. No, I did not say that whatsoever. You're going to be aware of it. And then you're just going to be with that phrase. And you're going to consider, is this something that I actually want to tell myself? You are in charge. And it's highly likely that you will, as a compassionate, caring adult who has the power to choose another way, to choose a different response, to change how you think about things. You can say, I don't want to take this on. No, that's not how I want to talk to myself. So you'll have these phrases that you can substitute. Now, they need to be sincere. So let's say that you have, I'm just using this one, you've called yourself a klutz, that you are clumsy, you're always, knocking things over, you're so uncoordinated, and fill in the blank. And to go from I'm such a klutz to I'm the most graceful being on earth, that's not going to really be sincere, likely, because it's such a leap. But if you were to say things such as, I'm becoming more aware of how I move. I am going to be more aware of how I place things. As I'm carrying something, I'm going to notice that I'm doing that. You can use honest, sincere phrases that are going to move you away from the self-criticism, the negativity, which again, it's really understandable that we do that. It's almost like we want to validate whatever we're going through, but you can validate it another way by saying, I'm becoming more mindful of how I move. And I'm glad I had this opportunity to be more aware of what I'm holding on to. Day by day, I'm becoming more graceful. Or what my favorite is to say things like, I look forward to the day that I'm more graceful. And I can't wait until my graceful movements increase. Those are honest and sincere, and they're not such a leap from one end of the extreme to another. Another phrase that I say, in addition to the one that my lovely healthy American reminded me of, which is, I will handle whatever comes up. I like to say, especially when I'm faced with something that's more, you may be saying, Peggy, it's dropping a water bottle, leaving your wallet. That's nothing. I'm facing huge challenges in my life. I've got financial problems. I've got where I'm living. I've lost my job. I've got breaks in my relationship. I've got health issues. What are you talking about? A wallet and a water bottle. The reason why I use the water bottle and the wallet as examples, that's on purpose, to minimize the emotional response that is so natural and understandable when we're talking about these major life problems and controversies and hindrances and obstacles. And you can use a word that suits you better. You can practice it with things that are lower level in terms of getting your emotions up, and then you can apply them to the larger situations. And I promise you, this is going to be of great value to you. When I was going through my eye challenges, which I still am going through, I simply refuse to entertain any negative thoughts because they don't serve me, especially when we're projecting into the future. So if I were to say, oh my gosh, that's it, my vision is going downhill, I'm never going to be able to see again, that the awareness of what I'm thinking, and then being with those thoughts. I don't want to be with those thoughts. Choosing something different. My vision could return. My vision could be better than ever. There could be new technological advances that are going to help me see 2020. I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to explore, medical advances. I used phrases such as, when I was going through my procedures, I'm grateful for the caring medical professionals that are on my healing journey. I'm experiencing a perfect procedure, a perfect recovery, and a perfect outcome. Friends, regardless of whether or not I experienced it, in the meantime, I kept my own self encouraged. I very likely, in fact, I can guarantee that my physical body was responding better in terms of healing because I didn't have the negative cascade of chemicals, of the harmful chemicals flooding through my body in terms of all of the stress hormones and so forth. I was able to feel better, and all of that can help promote the healing. So regardless of what you are facing, you have the superpower to choose how you respond. You have the ability to change how you think about things. And if you are facing the most dire situation, you can say, and I'd like to hear what you can say, these need to be sincere for you. But one of my favorite phrases is, I can't wait to see the good that can come from this. I can't wait to see what good can come from this. And maybe that good is in terms of appreciating life more. Maybe you're going to take steps toward healing broken relationships because you know how important that is. I have a video called Redemption for you that I hope you will watch, which is all about that. Think about ways that you can encourage yourself rather than adding on to the already difficult problems and obstacles that you're facing in your life. Let me end with this. Problems are a part of life. Somehow in our society, we were told that if you're facing a problem, you did something wrong, you weren't smart enough, you took the wrong step, you made the wrong choice. That is a lie. All of those are lies. Problems are a part of life. We are, how does the saying go? Never promised a rose garden. There are thorns. There are always things that we are going to be faced with. And just acknowledging that these problems are not necessarily of your own doing. There may be other things that happened in these circumstances that were not within your control. I look at the lawsuit that I've been involved in and the rulings of which we do. I forgot to talk about that in the Saturday private webinar, but I will be bringing you some updates on that. The fact is, I can only do my part and the others are doing their actions. I have no control over their actions. So often circumstances are not of our own doing. And to be frustrated and aggravated and irritated and outraged, and I know that I do get outraged over the circumstances, it's understandable. But to pile on top of those already aggravating circumstances with negative self-talk and self-criticism instead of self-encouragement. My loved one said, I didn't even know I could encourage myself. I didn't even know that was an option. I thought that I had to speak poorly about myself and to myself to sort of prove the how important this scenario was. It's almost as if complaining and criticizing makes the issue matter, that somehow now it's more important and it really matters. We can still acknowledge the severity of what we're going through without piling on all of the suffering with our words, with our phrases, with our choices, instead of just dealing with the problem and the obstacle that is there ahead of us. I can't wait to read your comments, your encouraging phrases that you share, that you can share with us and that you say to yourself. Make a list of those and watch some of my previous videos about self-encouragement versus self-criticism. It's always the way, my friends, and I hope that this has been an encouragement for you on your path to vibrant living. Remember, I'm always over at thehealthyamerican.org, and that is Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, and I look forward to seeing you in my live streams. And if they are premier live streams, that means that you still can participate in the live chat, even though I have pre-recorded the video. Sometimes due to my time restraints, I'm still counseling people on how to stand strong against tyranny, get their children in college, although why they're in college, I don't know. There are so many superior alternatives. And then, of course, getting your medical care without discrimination, traveling. And I've also helped a number of people with their immigration status. Again, I'm not an attorney. It's not legal advice, but it's legal education. So that's where we do the nuts and bolts of standing up against the tyranny. Here is where we bolster our own emotional, spiritual, physical, mental, intellectual selves so that we can stand strong no matter what. Thanks for joining me today, friends, and I look forward to seeing you